Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Get Crystallized Show. I am so excited because, as you can see on my screen, I have an amazing guest with me. But before I introduce our special guest today, for those of you ladies who are new to the Get Crystallized Show, welcome. And just like crystals, strong women are built under pressure. And it is our mission here in the Get Crystallized Show to serve you, to help you break those self-sabotaging behaviors so that you can create a healthy and, more importantly, a sustainable lifestyle that you love and love the skin you are in. And my beautiful guest, Joyce Layman, is a founder, author, and car enthusiast, which are just a few words to describe Joyce. And you may find that it's hard to believe that Joyce was a former wallflower. I definitely cannot believe that. In the world of business, networking, and speaking in public, that was her second biggest fear. And Joyce sought training in the Pacific Institute's processes, and it became the foundation she built her business on. And you primarily work with solopreneurs and CEOs, but what's really wonderful about you, Joyce, is that it's your personal challenges that you have met with the attitude of what doesn't kill you will make you stronger, that I'm sure our audience here will relate to. So ladies, as you pop on, make sure that you click that link, the StreamYard link, because right now you're showing up as Facebook user, and we want to say hello and greet you by your first name. So as you pop on, say hello, let us know where you are saying hello from. And now, without further ado, can we please show some love to our guest, Joyce? So happy for you to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm excited to get crystallized. This is, I had so much fun when we were talking about this before the show. So this is great. I appreciate the time to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. Now, I know that you have many, like all of us do, such life-changing transformations. I would love for you to share your what do you mean by what doesn't kill you made you stronger? I'd love for you to share that story behind that.
Well, as far as being an entrepreneur, so anybody, I don't care if you have your own business or if you're working for somebody, as you know, between COVID and all the changes that we've all experienced since 2020. 2020 was that year we were just praying everything would end, as quickly as possible. But it also gave me an appreciation for the things that I thought, in the past that, those take you down at the knee moments. So a couple of things is, yes, I have my own business. I've been doing that since 2008. And so in the middle of shifting a business model, kind of taking speaking, training, coaching, all of that. And then, so those are just things that you have to contend with from a work wise. But personally, there have been things that have happened in my life. And the most impactful, stressful, crazy time happened a year ago on March 2nd. And, before that, I always said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. In my case, you better start running. So last year, and I think this was the one that, really brought you to say, hey, I need you to come out and talk, is we all have experiences that as we're going through life, some of them are small bumps, and then other ones, it literally, with me, it shut my nervous system down. So what happened with that is a year ago, March 2nd, I was getting ready in the morning and my phone rings, and it's who I think my brother Craig, at least it's his number, and it was his neighbor. And she was calling to tell me my healthy 58-year-old brother was taken by ambulance unresponsive to the hospital. Well, he'd had the flu, or at least that's what we thought, for the last couple of weeks. And it was one of those things. So I live on the opposite side of the city. And I'm thinking in my brain, I said, okay, I'm getting ready now. I'll jump in my car and I'll be there. And I literally stopped to take a 10-minute shower, and just do stuff like this. But in my mind driving, I'm thinking we're going to be snapping a selfie in the hospital, later, because we always did Chiefs games together. I mean, there were just things, my brother and I were close, so we did that. And then I got 2 more calls on the way down. So one was a social worker from the hospital. One was the ER nurse.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So anyway, Yeah, this sucks. If you've lost anybody, I don't care who it is. But when I got down there, my brother, um, healthy 58-year-old brother, stubborn. This is the other thing, and this is why coaching with Crystal is great. You've got to take care of your health, and if you get signs, go to a doctor. They were trying to get Craig prepped. They thought he had a punctured bowel. He never made it to surgery. He died in front of me in the ER. So I know that in talking to the ER nurse later, she said, your brother was basically gone when he got here. He was gone. I know. Craig came back to say goodbye because I got to tell him that I loved him. And then he was gone. It was crazy. But keep in mind I've lost my parents. So my parents were born in 1925. I'm 56 because I always like to put, a date with that. So my parents were born in 1925. My dad had Parkinson's. It wasn't bad. My mother was bipolar, although 95% of the time you wouldn't know anything was wrong. We lost my dad in 2006 and my mom in 2008. My mom did great for years. She slipped into dementia and was in a nursing home. So when you think about losing your parents in your 40s, it wasn't something that we wanted to happen. And that was the stuff that I thought it's incredibly hard. I don't care who you lose. It's incredibly hard. It was somewhat of a blessing based on where their health challenges were, but my parents were gone. And so I thought going through that experience that helped me to build resilience. And then the next thing that took me out, which of course I thought nothing can be worse than this, was I had a world championship horse. I loved horses from the time I was a kid. I was horse crazy. I owned a horse, at 15, 16, but all we did was ride on pasture. I never showed. And then I got Baby, Admiral's Barefoot Baby. She was bay in color in my 20s, and I had her 22 years.
Wow.
We showed for 11 years. We won a national championship in 1996, went reserve in 97. So I was spending 3 to 4. There were 3 to 4 times a week I was riding. So imagine having a creature, an extraordinary creature that you were spending that time with. And I look at how much I was spending and I'm like, this is the best therapy ever, just to be around, just to be around. And so Baby was 27, and it was Christmas night, 2012, that I got a call that the barn was on fire.
Oh my.
Yeah. And we were on the other side of town, had to get home and then get another half hour out to Sibley. So there were 2, we called it the geriatric facility, but my mare and another mare were killed that night in a barn fire. That put me into post-traumatic stress. The next day I woke up and I was physically shaking and I couldn't stop. And so it was one of those things I'm thinking, okay, my training at the Pacific Institute, which I done in 2005, right? It's based in cognitive psychology and social learning theory. So I understand self-talk and negativity bias. And I knew what my conscious and subconscious, from an actual level were doing to me. So I thought that helped me get through my parents. Now we have Baby. I had to work with a counselor and doing emotional freedom technique. So that's something that I want to put out. I always talk about, you got to have a good toolkit. Because even though I focus on sales and marketing, a big part of the business owner, the entrepreneur's mindset is a big part of everything.
Huge.
I don't care, personal, professional, whatever you're doing, right? You learn a new tech platform. Oh my God, it's a comfort zone. But emotional freedom technique is one of those things that's also called tapping.
Yes.
I actually went to a therapist, yes, and she had to work with me to do that. I knew how to do it. Was I doing it? No. This is why having good accountability partners, coaches, good strong centers of influence, family, friends, those accountability partners like Coach Crystal, that's what helped keep you on track. So I knew that we had, post-traumatic stress, dealing with that. It took me a while to get back to sleep, and I kept, where I could sleep regularly, like months and months and months, but I kept going, well, why was that so traumatic on my system? And then if you think about 2020 for all of us, right? And it doesn't matter. It's just the experience of going through lockdown, whatever changes happened in your career, 2020, family, friends, if anybody passed from COVID, maybe you experienced it. It's like, that's enough to rattle you, let alone any other things that happen. So as I said, I thought I had good coping, and then I lose my brother. It literally shut my nervous system down. So when your brain is, you're logically thinking, and I would physically start shaking and I couldn't stop. I was like, and you felt like you were going to fall down. And
Yes.
so my niece happens to have PhD cognitive psychology, but she does research on how music affects the brain,
Oh,
which
wow.
is, yeah, super cool, and worked with the Alive Inside folks. But I would call Shannon, I'm like, tell me what my brain is doing to me. Because sometimes, and this is where I want to make sure everybody knows this, sometimes what's happening psychologically, your own brain, it can be your best, right? It can be your best ally. It can be your biggest obstacle. So Shannon kept saying that's how the stress is trying to leave your body. That's what your subconscious, your stress is trying to leave your body. So you're shaking. And I went through episodes. So I got a hold of my naturopath. I've been seeing her for hormones for a while and love her. She's like, yeah, we got to get your nervous system calmed down. So if anybody's done acupuncture, have you done acupuncture, Crystal?
We actually had Yolanda from a fellow. Yeah, she did a full tapping with us, and it was absolutely wonderful. So you say tapping, I'm there. I actually
Oh,
started practicing more regularly, and it does wonders. In fact, when she was holding a workshop for us, I was literally feeling tightness in my chest because of something that was causing stress. 3 times through with some verbiage that she was saying, in other words, like to release, and it went from like an 8 to like a 3. And you're absolutely right, that shaking, it's your body's way of like, how do I let go of this? How do I release this? I don't know what to do. In fact, I'm just going to fall. And there's so many of our ladies whom, whether it be the uncertainty and the stress of the online, their kids learning online, like we did not plan for this. Like, what do you mean I have to school 3 kids? And then I have some of my ladies whom, very, very one off the top of my head, actually, her mom is going through dementia, and she is basically zero sleep. Because she's so stressed out about her mom, taking care of her mom, changing her mom, feeding her mom, bathing her mom, all the things, and that stress actually put her into the hospital. And so it's, like, I'm sure every single one of our ladies here have had their version, especially because of the pandemic and the lockdown and so much uncertainty in terms of their body and their just systems just wanting to shut down or freak out.
yeah. This is where I want to point out, and if you've had somebody already mention this, to your group on an interview, then maybe it's a good reinforcement. So going back to my training with the Pacific Institute, they've been around over 50 years. They've worked with millions of people globally, everything from Fortune, 100 to military to like Pete Carroll's team at USC or Nick Saban at Alabama. Think performance mindset. This is not law of attraction. This is cognitive science. So, hey, I love seeing people pop on. So one of the things that happens, especially when we get into these crisis modes, and especially like 2020, I swear every day could have been a crisis mode based on, right, everything we were having to navigate. So understand how negativity bias works. We are physically hardwired. It's hardwired in our DNA to focus on threats and danger. Because if you think thousands of years ago, right, hunter-gatherer days, if you weren't focused on threats and danger, you were going to be somebody else's lunch.
That's right.
So,
right. Yeah.
So how it's been hardwired with what happens is now this is a threat.
Yes.
Email's a threat. A phone call's a threat. The next announcement they make on television, who went into lockdown. Now we've got this, now we've got this
numbers
virus
going up and down.
Right.
Like, what's the number today? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These are all considered threats that we don't know. So what happens is one small thing doesn't go right, then something else doesn't go right. I mean, think about it back, now that the world's opening up a little bit again, but think back to you woke up late, something was due at the office. Your kids told you as they were leaving for school, oh, by the way, I need this. Then you get stuck in traffic, and then all these things happen. And then you walk in and something just blew up and it's 9 a.m.
Yes.
So problems multiplying like rabbits. So what happens is the subconscious, it will see one thing, and then we tend to focus more on threats, on the stress, versus going, okay, I'm going to acknowledge it. This is not Pollyanna and unicorns, and rainbows and glitter and all. No, that's not what that is. But it's the brain, we tend to get drawn towards that research shows over 65% of our thoughts are negative. That's a scary thing to think about. But if you think what's in the media and what do you see on social media, just all of this stuff. So the trick is to go acknowledge it and then go, how can I move forward? So with my parents, because when I was going through the grief process, to me, it was like a tunnel. I felt like I was on a cruise ship first off, right? My equilibrium was literally off, but you could always look up to see what's there. Craig's situation was a little different because it happened, a healthy guy gone, and then my body is physically reacting. So that's why awareness is great. Tapping, have your tools. And I had people I would literally go to, my close friend, Jennifer Peak, my other close friend, Linda Endicott. So for all you overachievers, and I know you're all in here because that's why you're in Crystal's group. So I did keynotes forever and a day. I was a member of National Speakers Association and past president of a chapter. And I was asked to be on a panel. This was last year we were going to do it. And what happened, it's right before everything got locked down. I'm talking to my friend Linda. Actually, we're texting and I am dying laughing. The next minute, I am losing my stuff. I am like sobbing. And I called her and she goes, first off, you're not doing that panel. She's like, no, you're not doing that tomorrow. You're going to message him and say, this is why I'm not going to be there and everybody's going to understand. She said, the next thing you're going to pick one thing that you're going to do tomorrow. One thing. And that's it. One thing. If you get that done, great. If you want to go curl up on the couch and cry all day, that's great too. Pick one thing. But Linda was there. Like I said, I went from laughing to losing my stuff. So breaking things down to the next step, because sometimes as overachievers, you want to do
all everything.
And then you get to the end of the day and then you're beating yourself up mentally. Stop that. I always say, if your best friend talked to you the way you talk to yourself, would you still be friends?
So true. And yet we always beat ourselves up. We are so hard on ourselves. And my ladies inside the Revolve Life Method, I know that there's this buzz where, okay, if I didn't do it 100%, I'm not going to participate at all. And I say to the girls, you know what? Do your best. That's all. And like, you know, and I'm sure you agree, Joyce, where your 100%, if it's, you know, 60% of what your 100% is normally, but for that day, that is your 100%, perfect. Just show up. And I agree with you. Do the one thing.
Yep. And if you can do more, right? Then go to, because like the methodology, and I'm sure you've got something very similar. It's like, pick your top 3 priorities for the day, especially when you flip over to business. So you've got to know what your quarterly goals are. You've got to know what your monthly goals are, and then break it down. But too often it's the stuff that tends to scare us that we put to the bottom of the list versus, that comfort zone stuff, or the imposter syndrome that sneaks in, that I'm not good enough, or why would they listen to me? Or, oh my God, I have to send I have clients reach out and they're like, but I don't want to reach out in the messages. I'm like, well, email, phone call, you know, if you want clients, there are ways to do this and be authentic, but nobody wants rejection. Of course, nobody wants rejection. So think about the things that have been stopping you, and then also go, okay, so is it a comfort zone? Can I take you guys through a quick exercise?
Please, girls. Okay. Yes, all that you're watching, say hello. Thank you so much. Monica's saying, learning that lesson right now. It's really important. As you come on, make sure, girls, just as a reminder, click on that link so that we can see your name and not Facebook user. And if you guys want to go through this exercise, can you show up some hearts for Joyce? Firstly, you're getting a lot of love for sharing your story, and my heart, oh my gosh, goes out to you for your brother. And I'm just, wow, and you're here. So thank you. That's all. Honestly, you are amazing. So yes, please share us your exercise.
So I would always do this when I was doing keynotes with large audiences. I actually did it with my TEDx talk, which was, fun to do. But all right, so everybody put things down, because you don't want to have anything in your hands. And it's hard since I'm only on part of a screen. But what you're going to do is put your arms up in the air. And then I want you to cross them over your chest, just like you would naturally cross them over your chest. And I want to give everybody a minute, because I know StreamYard, there's always a little bit of a lag. Okay, so this time you're going to uncross them. and cross them with the opposite arm on top.
Wait a second. Okay.
Everybody, and I'm going to, okay, you have to uncross your arms to actually be able to comment, but I'm curious if anybody felt that, and uncross your arms, if anybody felt that to be awkward. It was so funny. I did a keynote one time and I had, I don't know, 500 people in the audience, and I forgot to tell them to uncross their arms. And so everybody was like squirming and.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Nope. Okay. There. That's awkward. That's right. Yeah.
So the first thing about this is the first time you did it, it was a subconscious habit. We don't have to think about it. It's no different. If anybody plays golf, we have golf swings that are habituated. Ladies, it's how we get ready in the morning, right? You take a shower. Do you put your makeup on first? Do you get dressed? You know, like what is your habit or routine? So think about that is all subconscious. 95% of what we do is controlled by our subconscious. The second time it was a conscious decision.
That's right.
So now what you're doing is you're telling your body to do this, but you are in what I call it comfort zone. So the easiest way to think about it, it's like a climate control on the thermostat. Say we operate between 68 and 72. Anytime you set a new goal, it's outside your comfort zone. Anytime, new initiative, joining Crystal's program, all of these things, it sounds, this is going to be great. I'm going to tackle it. Think New Year's resolutions at the gym and how busy the gym is the first week of January. And by the end of January, it's business as usual because the majority of people have fallen off.
That's right.
Yes. So how did I go from wallflower to being called, Bob Burg calls me the greatest networker in the world, the guy who wrote the book on networking? It's because I learned how to push comfort zones, intentionally push comfort zones, which makes it easy when we're faced with comfort zones that come out of the blue. So part of it is self-talk. It's what you say. We have over 50,000 thoughts a day. Could be thinking it out loud, right? All of that. So think about this with your kiddos. If you've got kids, spouse, significant other, family, people on your team, you need to learn how to coach them forward. So this self-talk, what happens, it creates this normal of how we know ourselves to be. I'm a morning person, not a morning person. Workout is easy. Workout sucks. I can stick to a diet. You know, I'm a sugar addict. I used to be always late, like late. My friends would tell me to show up 30 minutes before they did because I was that late in sales, outside sales. But think about all these things that we tell ourselves, which creates this normal. So if you think about a circle, right? Here's your 50,000 thoughts, what we tell ourselves gets the result. Well, then what happens is we reinforce the self-talk. So if that comfort zone happens and it's like, oh my God, I've never done this. And then you literally start talking yourself out of it before you've tried it, whatever that might be. Imposter syndrome kicks in. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. By the way, I've been dealing with worthiness for a very long time. So I totally get that. That's where think about the things that are there, but start intentionally pushing comfort zones. You don't have to do huge things. But when you do that, then when stuff hits you out the blue, it's easier. My TEDx talk, a friend of mine put me on a ropes course 35 feet in the air. I had a choice and I said, I'm terrified of heights. I'm going to do this anyway. Because I knew if I could conquer that, then the other stuff wouldn't be, as tough. So for me, I was in outside sales, going to a networking event. I was a wallflower and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was good one-on-one with a client. Don't put me in a room full of people. So all of this self-talk, think negativity bias. Where is your focus? Holding a thought for 15 to 20 seconds starts to groove new neural pathways, stores it in your long-term memory. 15 to 20 second thought.
And a lot of our ladies, like you said, that I am not worthy, I'm not good enough. We're talking 40 years of that negative self-talk right there.
Yeah.
I actually would love to segue into your book, Just Another Leap, a layman's guide to get from there to here. I was reading that little excerpt that it says here, everything that you're familiar with today was once unfamiliar territory. Talk about, being outside of the comfort zone. We're so used to that comfort zone, even though what's comfortable is all that negative self-talk, right? There was a time when you didn't know how to walk or talk or read. In the same way at R3, meal prepping, doing mindset work, tapping and exercising, you didn't know how to do. And you're right. It's stepping outside of your comfort zone. But now through R3, and like you say in your book, now you're doing all those things effortlessly. But what if all progress were that simple and easy? What if every path towards progress starts by learning to leap? I would love for you to share, like, why did you entitle your book Just Another Leap?
When I was asked to do a TEDx talk, and they gave me the topic of comfort zones, I was trying to think about what is a great visual piece of that. So when you think about comfort zones and The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks wrote that, one of my favorite books. I'm all about the mindset stuff. But to me, it's like leaps don't have to be, we think leaps are huge. Sometimes leaps can be this big. They feel like they're huge, but they're really that big. So I was talking to a business partner at the time, and that's where there to here, not here to there. It was just the way it rolled off my tongue. But that's there to here is just another leap. And then we called the book Just Another Leap. So it's like, if you just do that one more thing, there's that 212 movie. If anybody's ever seen it, it's a 2-minute video short, and it talks about 1 degree. So people think that we have to do these huge things, but when you look at like some of the top athletes in the world or some of the top competitions, whatever it might be, there's like a millisecond of difference between who gets first and who gets second.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So I've done it, we tend to catastrophize things in our brain, or we tend to think this one small thing suddenly becomes this huge mountain if we've not done it before, if it's outside of a comfort zone. But if you reverse engineer, and I know you help your folks do this, right? I help my clients do this with sales and marketing. But if you can break things down and go, so what's the next step? And what's the next step? And what's the next step? And then you look up, it's kind of like that negativity bias. If anybody's ever put your child on a bike, you're teaching them to ride a bike, and you give them a shove, and you see something in the road and you say, don't hit the rock. What do?
Hit the rock.
Always, every time. It's the same way. It's the same way with our brain and goals. So that's why if you go, I know what I want to do. I know the weight I want to lose, and maybe it's just shifting body fat percentage, or you're getting, maybe it's more lean muscle, or it could be as simple as I'm adding water, I'm moving. It doesn't have, we always want to think of, like, I like to think back what I looked like in high school versus what do I need to do now at 56 to make sure my boyfriend and I have this conversation. He's 64. He doesn't look like it. He can run circles around me. But it's one of those things. It's like, what do we need to do to make those decisions to stay healthy for each other? Which goes back to, got a strong enough why, then the scary stuff is less scary.
Amen to that. That is actually the foundation at R3 is, what is your why? Because, women come to us and they're like, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds. And I'm like, okay, why? And they don't know how to answer that. And that just goes to show, I want to lose X amount of pounds. If that reason was good enough, there'd be a lot more fit people walking around, but it isn't. Right. So I love that you pointed that out. Any other, and I'm going to encourage, I've added the link, girls. I really want to encourage you to purchase this book. I know that it's literally a guide to get from there to here. And I think there'd be so much value, and we can maybe even do a book club. And I would love for your book to be the very first one inside our group. So with that being said, are there any other nuggets as we wrap up here that you would love to share from your book, Just Another Leap?
One of the things to think about, and this is how you can coach others forward. So too often what happens is it's easier, you're going to leave here and go, oh, you're going to recognize that self-talk in somebody else before we recognize it in ourselves. One of the exercises I would do with full day training classes, multi-day with leadership teams, is I would have everybody put rubber bands on each wrist, right? One on each wrist. Kind of hard to do virtually. You can still figure this out. So think about with your family, what I would do is say, hey, I heard this lady talk today. We have this exercise. Everybody get a rubber band. If you catch yourself thinking something limiting, or negative, not just negative. Sometimes it's limiting. Oh, I've never done that before, right? Whatever that is. Oh, that's hard for me. Then you snap,
Oh, I like that.
but, or I should say you snap and you reframe it, because otherwise, remember what I said about 15 to 20 seconds?
Yes.
You've just stored it in long-term memory. So you've got to groove neural pathways. This is why it takes time to create new habits. When I was researching in the book, they say 21 days. I've seen research take up to 67. But guess what?
Yep.
I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and I quit one night and I never picked up another one again.
Right.
I was sick all the time. My why was, I'm sick of being sick. So you have your why, and then you start to notice what your self-talk is. Pay attention. Are you looking at the rock? Or are you looking past the rock and then backing it up to baby steps? Every time you do something, even if it's as you said, right, we don't have to do all out. Even if it's 60%, acknowledge it. It produces a dopamine response in the brain.
Good job.
Yep. And then you just keep moving forward. But that group exercise of accountability, I used to say that you could snap each other's rubber bands and people had a ball with it. But then you start to recognize, you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was saying that. So, but you snap, but you reframe. You can also do it with Post-it notes. If I want to change, if I want to implement, and maybe you already tell your group to do this, I'm a visual learner. So I will write on my mirror, or I will put a Post-it note. I'll put a 3x5 card in my visor, one word, and it's like, okay, that's what I need to be focusing on. The other problem is we go a little bit too far and then we stop seeing it, blind spot, right?
Right.
So you want to be changing it up, but be aware of comfort zones. Intentionally find things to push comfort zones daily, even if it's going out of order with how you put your makeup on, right? Small things, but yet your body's going to go, hold on. But start intentionally. Your goal is to get uncomfortable, because then you'll become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Love it. Wow, that is so good. And, for a lot of my ladies who are starting this new healthy journey, it's all uncomfortable, but like what you just shared, just one baby step at a time. What is your why? Just another leap. And your leap doesn't have to be huge, just one tiny leap. And I love the example. Maybe you're just focusing on drinking your water today. We do something where we take food selfies. Maybe it's making sure that I take all of my food selfies today, that one little bit. And you'll take that another little leap to get from there to here and eventually hit your goals. So Joyce, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your personal story with us. Thank you for sharing all of these amazing nuggets. And I have added the link, girls. You can see in that copy, you can hit that Amazon link and purchase that book. I would love for us to start our book club if that's something you're interested in. And I would love to start with Joyce's book as our very first book club book. So thank you so much, Joyce, for being here, for your time, for your words of wisdom, and sharing your heart, most especially. That I do not take for granted. Girls, can you please show her? We show burger love. This is what burger love is, Joyce.
I love it.
So girls, please show Joyce some burger love. If you watch the replay, please put #replay. And if you have any questions for Joyce, let us know. I'm gonna again, we want to have you again as a guest. We absolutely adore you. Thank you so much for all of your nuggets. You have been awesome. You are what awesome looks like. So thank you, all the burger love right now that you're receiving.
That's great. This is great. Yeah. And next time we can talk about cars, fun things with cars.
Yes. You know what? I know we have some horse lovers in here too. So there we go.
There we go. Great.
Thank you so much, Joyce.
All right.
And for the rest of you, have an amazing day. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.